So I have a very interesting Pokemon here. This is a rank 1 Obstagoon as a shadow for the Great League. And I'm super happy to have this Pokemon. But sadly, this Pokemon got nerfed actually over a year back now at this point, as counter got quite a bit weaker. But still, in this current Holiday Cup meta, this Pokemon is actually fantastic. This Pokemon is amazing against the current meta because it breaks not only the Ghost types, but also the Dark types, as well as the normal types, which are everywhere in the current meta, and I wanted to give it a try, and this turned out to be one of my favorite teams so far for this meta, so definitely give this one a try. So, we're going to have, our lead is the Obstagoon. Of course, we're going to have that double weakness to the fighting typing, so we need two answers for that at the back. Our Sableye Oranguru is going to carry the same kind of coverage as well in terms of having Dark type coverage and Brutal Swing, which we will have here as well, being utilized against the opponent's Skeledirge. And in the back we have our closer, which is going to be the Talonflame. We have the non-shadow Talonflame because we have the shadow already on our Obstagoon, and I kind of want to balance it out because I need sometimes, as you see here as well, a little bit more bulk in certain matchups. And so this is kind of the team we're running here today. This is the team that I really enjoyed playing because honestly, it's so much fun. Obstagoon is such a good Pokemon typing-wise in this current meta, and even with a counter nerf, which is honestly super significant for this Pokemon because you now get to your moves one turn, like one fast move slower, it is still such an interesting Pokemon. As you can see here, we're going to be able to snipe the opponent in the first battle, and we're going to be able to win the battle as well, and we can move on to the next opponent. Where we're going to have Talonflame against us. We're going to be able to swap out here into the Oranguru, and as we see as well, the Brutal Swing is coming through. I always go straight to my Brutal Swing because it's going to be very solid timing still. It's 13 turns. I give the opponent 2 free turns by doing that. But also, what it allows me is to unaligned the switch clock, so I don't have to have alignment later on against a Pokemon that I don't really want to have alignment against. But also, because the opponent went for a charge move and I went for a charge move, what you will see next is that I can let the move go, but I can swap out afterwards into my Obstagoon, which is now in a position where it can go for the full farm down here, gets a ton of energy, but the opponent is still locked into this matchup, forced to go for a charge move, and as they don't even reach the Earthquake in time, they're forced to go for a triple resisted Shadow Ball, doing next to no damage. But they reveal the final Pokemon being the Annihilate, and that is going to be, of course, the worst possible matchup I could imagine. But like this, we are going to still be able to get the shield from them, and I still have some answers in the back. I have my Talonflame. I'm forced, of course, to let the first move go through, as the first Rage Fist does the least amount of damage. They even give me the option here to go for the full farm against the opponent's Talonflame here, while also still clearing out the buff that they have on their own Annihilate. And with this, we're going to have 2 charge moves out now. The first fly is coming through, is going to be able to get the shield, but the second fly is going to be able to take out the opponent's Annihilate, winning us this battle again, even though that was quite a bit of an interesting one to play. So, alright, horrible lead again. We swap out straight into our Sableye. The Oranguru, we bait out the Ferret, that's not really ideal. But here's the thing, Oranguru has a lot of pressure. Thanks to the move Trailblazed, we're going to be able to move up our attack damage here a little bit by boosting our own attack guaranteed with this move. And with this, we can kind of win a lot of the battles in the zero shield scenario because our fast move does a lot of damage. And we have some spammy moves as well here, which is amazing. The issue is that this Pokemon could learn as well, in theory, Brick Break, which we don't see here. They have Trailblaze, they still do some solid amount of damage. But of course, against a Charmer like this, I am forced to swap out of here. But we see here in the back the Spiritomb, and that is not ideal. I go straight for my Flame Charge, boost my own attack, but what I was a bit surprised about is how much damage actually the Sucker Punch does against our Talonflame. Like, we're nearly in the red health already, even though it's just some fast moves coming up against us that are not even super effective by any means. And so, Spiritomb's damage output kind of surprised me here, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to be at least able to go for a move against the opponent's, weakly tough. And I try my best here to swap out. You see me clicking onto it, but I was a little bit too late, realizing that I needed to kind of still get to another move. But as we will see, they go for the Icy Wind, dropping our own attack, but it doesn't really matter. They need to get up to 2 Swifts in order to have a chance of winning this battle, because now Obstagoon still reaches another charge move and can move on to the next opponent, who is a normal type in the lead, and I was like, yeah, goodbye. So we can also go to the next one. We're going to have Cordeli against his own lead. After facing 2 very tough leads before, now we have 2 very good leads for us, which is kind of nice, but we were still able to win so far every single battle with this team. Well, let's see on how this is going to go up against the Charizard. Charizard is a Pokemon I still want to kind of try out, but I'm in such a bad position now, I kind of completely lost track on how much energy they had, so that's my bad. I should have went for a way different route there. I should have let the move go there. It was, of course, just the air cutter, but now I'm 2 shields down. I do have alignment still, but like not in a way I really want to. And they're gonna be forced to go for a harder hitting move here as well. They're very likely to go just for the grass knot. I assume it's gonna be enough to knock me out, but it might just be not enough. If they go actually for Rock Tomb, and with that it's not enough. If they go for the grass knot, it's very likely going to be enough to knock me out. As we'll see here, Brutal Swing is coming in, and we're going to have here now the Talonflame going to be able to go up against the Obstagoon. As you see here, there's going to be a charge move coming in, the Night Stitch coming through, and we can go for another Night Stitch against the opponent. This is going to be perfect. This is going to allow us to get a lot of damage onto them, and we can let the move go from the opponent. This is going to be again on the fly coming through, and we have our own Talonflame. We need to kind of get the full farm done, but for that we also need to catch the move, which we can do now. The opponent goes for their hard-hitting move. It's going to be the Brave Bird, landing against a 1 HP Pokemon. This is my only way of winning this battle, but I know that the opponent's Credilli sadly still has a little bit too much health left, and so I kind of screwed up the battle on myself a little bit here. I could have won this battle if I played a bit better, but I didn't, and so I lost this one kind of deservingly. Alright, Obstagoon is going to have actually solid matchup against Ludicolo, because we triple resist the fast move, we triple resist ghost type damage, which is absolutely fantastic, which you see as well. The opponent's already nearly at the red health mark there, while we are still at full green health. I can let the next move go through here. I was a bit worried about a Leaf Storm, but a Weather Ball is not going to tickle us as much, as we can go for the full farm down, leaving here Needy with a 2 charge move stored as they sub out into the Licky, which kind of shows me if they stay in a lead like this, if they go into a normal type Pokemon like this as well, they are very, very likely very weak to me in the back, and so I want to kind of preserve my Obstagoon for later on, and so I swap out into my Oranguru to catch the move, to get a fast move through, and they're not weak to me at all. They have the Raikou in the back. That is kind of funny, but because the opponent does 2 shields left, I can now try to get the shields from them by going for the Brutal Swings. That works out actually quite well. As we see here, we're going to be able to go ahead and go for a Brutal Swing, get the shield from the opponent, and they're forced to go for a charge move. I'm not even too sure if an Aura Sphere is going to be enough from a Shadow, very likely, but we have still our Obstagoon, and I decide to let this move go. I think my win con is here just the Incinerate damage from the Talonflame. And as we're going to see here as well, we're going to be able to farm down the opponent's Licky. In comes the Raikou, we can farm that Pokemon down as well. And in comes the next opponent, where we're going to have the Sableye in the lead. That is quite the perfect matchup. I'm generally not too worried about this Pokemon, because generally speaking, you're going to run a Power Gem in this matchup. So like, you would be able to survive a Power Gem quite easily from the opponent's Shadow Sableye. But because I think that the opponent is going to be weak to me in the back, because otherwise that doesn't make sense for them to stay in this matchup here, I kind of decided to use my shields on my Obstagoon, because Obstagoon has such a perfect matchup against the current meta. It's honestly like the best meta breaker in the current meta. It is so good against the everything. They assume that they're going to have some play with this Pokemon later on. And based on this assumption, I'm actually going to try to save this Obstagoon and not going to go for a charge move here against the opponent, expecting that my charge move damage might come in clutch later on. And I try to catch the move here, which works out beautifully onto the opponent's Corviknight. But truth be told, I am now in a position where I know that this is going to be a bad one for me. I would have needed my Talonflame against it. And I'm not too sure if my sacrifice of, my Oranguru here is actually the wisest choice. Because I know I have them now in the range where a charge move knocks them out anyway from the Obstagoon, that's kind of fine. I know I have my Talonflame still in the back, but I don't know what they have in the back. I don't know if I'm going to be able to win this battle. And they reveal that they have the Licky in the back, which generally is good that we still have this Pokemon left. But Oranguru would have done this job most likely as well, would have had a very similar matchup there. And I feel like if I had alignment, it would have been most likely a little bit better for myself even. But now I'm in a position where I know the opponent needs only 3 more fast moves to get to Shadow Ball even, which is going to be also the time that we need to go for our own charge move. So they're going to be able to knock me out. But now I'm like, can I win this battle still? I need to kind of boost my own attack up, but they make a big mistake. They go to the Corviknight, a Pokemon that actually still had quite a lot of HP left, not enough for 1 Incinerate for sure. And now I actually put them into 1 Incinerate range for the Licky, and we can win the battle. And we face up against yet another good lead for our Obstagoon. And you see that I'm not going to go straight for my move and rather go for the extra fast move, which will come in clutch now a little bit later. Well, yes, I'm going to be debuffed now, and while I can take the hit here, it's not going to be the best matchup generally for me. I am going to be able to go for the cross jump here now as well, and I can go for the Night Slash straight afterwards, which is going to be perfect for me because I can now knock them out. And then comes the opponent's Skeledirge, and I can even go for another Night Slash. That would do something nice, super effective stab damage, but the opponent decides to shield this move up, which is fair, but I have my Oranguru now aligned. a Pokemon which is going to be able to resist, of course, the Shadow Ball, forcing the opponent to only go for the Torch Song, but I was hoping that I would find something in the bag that I can deal with quite well. Dunsparce turns out to be kind of the worst possible Pokemon I could imagine. I was hoping I would still somehow survive a Rock Slide, which I don't, and at this point it's just kinda I'm in the position where I have no chance. I'm in a position where I need to boost myself up with Trail Blaze in order to have any kind of play towards that. But what we see here as well is that we actually are not doing enough damage to knock them out with another Trail Blaze. And as long as I don't get to another move, I'm fine. But it's very likely that they already have a move stored. And at this point as well, looking at my HP, I am not going to be able to survive the matchup against the opponent's Skeledirge. And so yes, this is going to be a loss. And to be fair, it's mainly down to me not having an answer anymore towards the Dunsparce because my answers went down early. And that is fine. They just had the perfect answer in the back for my final Pokemon. And that's okay. We can move on to the next opponent. Okay, Talonflame against us. It's kind of a similar play here. We're just going to go straight for the Brutal Swing. This is actually quite alright. That is totally okay for me. This is going to be not the perfect timing, don't get me wrong, but it's going to allow me to get the shield and especially get the unalignment. Because now, look at the right side, our switch clock is already nearly up again, or we can reach another charge move against the opponent's Talonflame, which is a tough matchup for our lead. And we see as well that the Talonflame very likely just goes down to the Oranguru, leaving me here with alignment, but also energy on my Pokemon, which is honestly a trade-off that I definitely will take. But now we will face up against the Charger Bug, and I try to catch the, bug type move here, which definitely should go for, but they go for Discharge. Which doesn't make any sense at all based on the information that they currently had. It really doesn't make any sense because Exeter is super effective against the Oranguru, which Discharge isn't. But then again, you could think, okay, yeah, maybe they try to catch the move, maybe they try to catch the Exeter. But the only Pokemon that they are aware of that I have is the Obstagoon so far, which is also weak to the bug typing, just like the Oranguru. So to go for the play, to go for the Discharge there, worked out amazingly for the opponent. But this only works if they predict that they have the Talonflame in the back, which I guess they did, which works out really well for them, because at the end of the day, they're going to be able to go for a move here. They win the CMP tie apparently against the Oranguru, which is kind of unfortunate, and they're going to be able to knock me out here, which would have not been the case if they would have not went for the right move against my other Pokemon that I swapped into. So that prediction kind of won them the battle. Alright. Let's take a look here at the next opponent. We're going to have the charge move coming in here. We're going to have the Swift against the Wigglytuff. That is totally fine. We have the Flame Charge coming through. This is going to be okay for us because this is going to allow us now to go for some damage against the opponent. And we can knock them out nearly here as well. This is perfect, as well as we're going to now get rid of the hardest answer to our lead here. As well as we're going to get out the Licky, which is also absolutely perfect. No, the fly is coming through. We're going to be able to just let the move go. And there's going to be an Obstagoon. And also, now the Ninetales coming in. We're gonna try our best. We're just gonna use a shield here. This is totally fine. We're gonna be able to just go for the Trail Blaze. And with that, we can knock them out if they let the move go. But they shield this move up. And while they have, I think, a double Charm team here, I should be fine winning this battle. Because I have the opportunity now to just go for the Brutal Swing, knock them out with it. And we should be in a position where I can just go back into my other Pokemon after, of course, they knock me out here and win the battle. Because I'm not too worried about the energy that they're going to gain here. I know that I have a lot of pressure still coming up from even my Oranguru as the confusion damage is heading up. It's at least a stat move, which counter isn't. As well as we're boosting our attack, which counter isn't. And so I know at this point I will be able to win this. Because I can take 2 body slams super easily here, literally a Needy even can take 3 body slams from the opponent's Licky, showcasing again why Obstagoon is honestly such an amazing Pokemon in this meta. It's, I think, the most underrated Pokemon I've seen so far for this meta for sure, and we can move on to the final battle for the day. You saw on how dominant this thing is. Honestly, I am surprised that not more players are running this Pokemon. I got, by the way, inspired from the team that you most saw earlier as well. The player that played that team had a team with Obstagoon as well. They were running, I think, Fletchin there, as well as the Talonflame in the back. Talonflame Obstagoon has been a core since literally ages ago when Obstagoon was still good and considered meta. But I kind of like to bring it back. It makes a lot of sense, by the way, this call, because Talonflame is going to be able to beat those Charmers and those Fighting-type Pokemon, which is your main weakness, as well as the Bug-type Pokemon, which is also your main weakness. So it just makes a lot of sense to have those around. And as you can see here, we're going to have the opponents with their Ice Type in the back here. There's going to have the Glidey, which still has to go up against our other Pokemon, against our Talonflame. And they actually have 2 Pokemon that are now weak to Talonflame, which means I just keep my shield for my Talonflame. I don't really care too much about anything else. Because my attack is, I think, boosted here as well, and they have super effective damage against the Aegislash. Aegislash is not in a position where they want to be in. And if you saw my video towards the Morpeko team, I played Aegislash in that one as well. I showed you on how to play Aegislash, and the opponent didn't put me into the position that they need to get me into, basically, in order to make Aegislash worth it. This is not working out for them at all. They're going to be able to not even knock me out here most likely, do they? They don't even knock me out here. I can keep my Pokemon alive, and this means I can guarantee win this battle. Even if the Aegislash somehow would knock me out here, which they very likely won't, I will be fine, as we have the Flame just coming through. We still have the Brutal Swing on the other Pokemon. This is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.